when the former owner called me and said, "I forgot the hidden cameras." My hands went cold. At first, I laughed softly, not because it was funny, but because my heart did. Not know what else to do. We had just finished unpacking our boxes. The house still smelled like fresh paint and cardboard. My children were asleep in their new rooms, and for the first time in years, I felt like life was finally slowing down. I remember standing in the kitchen when my phone rang. The sunlight was touching the floor gently, like it was afraid to disturb the peace. I answered without worry. I did not know that one sentence would change how safe my home felt forever. He cleared his throat on the phone, then he said it. "I forgot to tell you something before the sale." I waited. My heart was calm, still trusting there are cameras. He continued. "Hidden ones. I meant to remove them, but forgot." There was a long silence after that, the kind of silence that feels heavy, even through a phone. I looked around the room, at the walls, at the ceiling, at the corners, where shadows rested. That was the moment I realized something painful. A house can look warm and welcoming, but safety is not something you can see. It is something you feel, and in that moment, I no longer felt it. My name is not important. What matters is that I am a mother, a wife, and someone who believed that moving into a new home would fix what was broken inside us. For years, my family lived in a small apartment. The walls were thin, the rooms were crowded, and every argument felt louder than it needed to be. My husband worked long hours. He came home tired, quiet, and distant, not because he did not care, but because life had taken more from him than he knew how to give back. Our children were growing fast too. Fast. They needed space, not just physical space, but emotional space too. I thought a house would help, a real house, with a door that closed gently, with a kitchen where we could eat together again, with rooms where silence could exist without feeling lonely. When we found the house, it felt right immediately. It was not perfect. The paint was old in some places. The floors creaked when you walked, but it had something warm about it. The former owner was polite, quiet, almost too quiet. He did not smile much, but he answered our questions. He showed us the rooms. He explained the repairs. Nothing felt wrong. Nothing felt dangerous. We signed the papers. We shook hands. And just like that, the house became ours. Moving day was exhausting. Boxes everywhere. Children running around. My husband trying to assemble furniture with instructions he did not understand. That night, we ate on the floor, plastic plates, cold food. But we laughed. And for the first time in a long while, it felt real. This is our home now. I thought, no past, no memories, just us. I did not know the past was still watching. The first night, I slept lightly. Not because of fear, but because new places always feel unfamiliar. Every small sound woke me. The wind outside, the refrigerator humming, the house settling into itself. I told myself it was normal. The next morning, I noticed something small, a tiny hole near the ceiling in the hallway. I stood on a chair and looked closer. It looked like an old nail hole. Painted over poorly, I shrugged it off. Later, in the kitchen, I noticed another one. Above the cabinet, same size, same careless paint. I did not say anything, because when you want peace, your mind learns how to stay quiet. Over the next few days, small things kept happening. Lights flickered, even when the wiring was new. The internet disconnected at odd times. The children complained that their room felt strange. What kind of strange? I asked my daughter. She thought for a moment. Like someone is here, she said, but no one is. I smiled at her. You're just not used to the house yet, I said. But that night, when everyone was asleep, I walked through the rooms slowly. I stood in the hallway, in the kitchen, near the back door. The house was quiet. Too quiet. That is when the phone rang. The same number. The former owner. I answered softly. Hello? He breathed heavily on the other end. like he had been holding this in. I forgot something. He said again. My heart started to beat faster. Still, I stayed calm. What did you forget? I asked. There was a pause. Then he said it. I forgot. The cameras. My mouth went dry. What cameras? I asked. The line stayed silent for a few seconds longer than comfort allows. The ones inside the house, he said quietly. I looked around me again, at the walls, at the ceiling, at the places. I had ignored DAT, and that is where this part of my story truly begins. After he said those words, I forgot the cameras. My body stopped listening to my mind. I wanted to ask questions. I wanted to sound strong, but all that came out was silence. How many? I finally asked. He did not answer right away. I could hear his breathing, slow, uneven. I don't remember exactly, he said. They were for security. Long ago, I stopped using them. Stopped using them. Those words stayed with me, because stopping is not the same as removing. Where are they? I asked. In the common areas, he replied. Hallway, living room, kitchen, maybe outside too. I closed my eyes. My children had been running through those spaces, laughing, arguing, being. Children, I imagine unseen eyes following them, learning their habits, their routines. Are they still working? I asked. Another pause. They shouldn't be, he said, but I thought you should know. I thanked him. I don't know why. Maybe because I was raised to be polite, even when scared. When the call ended, I sat down on the kitchen chair, the same chair where I had unpacked plates that morning. My hands were shaking. The house did not feel warm anymore. It felt alert, like it was listening. That evening I waited until the children were asleep. My husband was sitting on the couch, scrolling on his phone. His face looked tired, the kind of tired that lives deep inside. There's something I need to tell you, I said. He looked up immediately. That worried me. He could hear it in my voice. I told him everything. The call, the cameras, the holes in the walls. He did not interrupt me. He just listened when I finished. He leaned back and sighed. Are you sure he wasn't joking? Kay asked. I shook my head. He wasn't laughing. We sat in silence for a long moment. Then he stood up. Show me the holes, he said. We walked through the house together, slowly, quietly, when I pointed them out. His face changed. Not panic, not anger, disbelief. These are too neat, he said. They're not random. He touched one gently, like it might react. That night, neither of us slept well. Fear did not arrive loudly. It arrived softly. I started changing clothes in the bathroom with the door locked. I stopped singing while cooking. I lowered my voice when talking on the phone. I caught myself waving at nothing. Then I stopped. The children felt it too. My son asked, why do you keep closing the curtains? My daughter asked, why does the house feel sad? I told them we were just settling in. But children understand silence better than words. My husband searched the internet late at night. How to find hidden cameras. Common places hidden cameras are installed. We bought a small device from a shop. It was supposed to detect lenses. We walked room to room with it. It beeped near the hallway. Stealing, my heart sank. The stress started changing us. My husband became quiet, distant in a way I had not seen before. He blamed himself for buying the house. I blamed myself for wanting a fresh start so badly. We stopped eating together. The kitchen table stayed empty most nights. One evening, I heard my husband on the phone. I don't feel safe, he said softly. No, not even in my own house. That sentence broke something inside me. A home is supposed to protect you, not watch you over the next few days. We found more signs. A loose panel behind a shelf, a wire that led nowhere, a small black dot behind the smoke detector. Each discovery felt like another betrayal. I started dreaming about being watched. In my dreams, I could not scream. Sometimes, I woke up crying quietly, so I would not wake the children. The house began to feel smaller. the walls closer, the air heavier. I missed our old apartment. The noise, the mess, the honesty of it. One afternoon, my daughter came to me holding a notebook. "Mom," she said, "why does this house make you sad?" I knelt in front of her. "It doesn't." I lied gently. She touched my face. "You don't smile here," she said. "Children see what adults hide." That night, I stood in the hallway alone. I looked up at the ceiling. "If you are still here," I whispered, "please leave us alone." I don't know who I was talking to by the end of that week. One thing was clear. This was no longer just about cameras. It was about trust, privacy, and the feeling that someone else's past had followed us into our future, and soon we would learn that the former owner had not told us everything. The truth did not arrive suddenly. It came in pieces, slow, heavy, like rain that seeps into the ground before you realize you are soaked. 2 weeks after the call, my husband took a day off work. "I can't leave you alone here anymore," he said. Quietly. That sentence hurt more than fear itself, because it meant we both knew something was wrong, and pretending was no longer possible. We decided to do what we should have done from the beginning. We called a professional. The man arrived in the afternoon. He was calm, middle-aged, the kind of person who had seen many homes and many secrets. He carried a small black bag and did not ask many questions. He just listened. When we told him about the former owner, he nodded slowly. "This happens more often than people think," he said. That did not comfort me. He moved carefully through the house, checking vents. Light fixtures, smoke detectors, behind mirrors. We followed him silently, the device in his hand. Beeped again and again in the hallway. He stopped. He climbed a ladder and removed a small panel we had never noticed. Inside was a camera, still connected, still powered. I felt dizzy. "This one was active recently," he said. Recently, I grabbed the wall to steady myself. My husband's face went pale. "Can you tell where it connects?" he asked. The man nodded. "It connects outside the house," he said, "to a storage unit or nearby system. Possibly remote access." Remote, that word echoed in my head. Someone had been watching us, not in the past, but now. That evening, the former owner called again. This time I did not answer. My husband did. I listened from the kitchen. "You said you stopped using them," my husband said calmly. That wasn't true. Silence. Then the man spoke. "I didn't think they were still on," he said. "You thought?" My husband replied, "Or you hoped we wouldn't find out." I held my breath. The former owner sighed. "There are things you don't understand," he said. That sentence changed everything. He told us then not everything, but enough. The cameras were not just for security. They were installed after his wife died. He said he couldn't sleep, couldn't trust silence, couldn't live without knowing what was happening around him. So he watched rooms, doors, shadows, over time. Watching became comfort, and comfort became habit when he sold the house. He told himself it was over, but he never disconnected everything. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone," he said, "but meaning does not erase damage. You watched my children," I said quietly, stepping closer to the phone. He did not deny it. "I didn't focus on them," he replied. "I just checked sometimes. Checked like we were weather, like we were objects." I felt something break inside me then, not loudly, softly, that night. I cried for the first time since moving in, not out of fear, out of violation. Someone had seen our private moments, our tired evenings, our arguments. Our silence. I felt exposed in a way I had no words for. My husband sat beside me. He did not speak. He did not need to. Sometimes pain is too honest for language. The next morning, my son asked a question that stopped me. "Mom," he said, "who was watching us?" I froze. I looked at my husband. We had failed to protect the quiet. We sat them down. We did not explain everything, only enough that someone had done something wrong. that it was not their fault that we were handling it. My daughter nodded slowly. I felt it. She said, like someone knew me. I hugged her tightly. I wished love alone could erase memory. That afternoon, we stood in the living room. Boxes half unpacked, furniture not yet settled. This house knows too much, a husband said. He was right, but leaving felt like losing again. Money, time, hope, still. I knew something. A home is not just walls. It is the feeling of being unseen when you need to be. And we had lost that afternoon. We stood in the living room, boxes half unpacked, furniture not yet settled. This house knows too much, my husband said. He was right, but leaving felt like losing again. Money, time, hope, still. I knew something. A home is not just walls, it is the feeling of being unseen when you need to be. And we had lost that. The morning after the truth came out, I woke up with a strange calm inside me. The fear was still there. The sadness too, but something else had joined them. Clarity. When someone crosses a line that cannot be uncrossed, you stop asking why. You start asking what now? My husband and I sat at the kitchen table, the same table where we once ate happily on our first night. Now it felt like a place for serious decisions. We can't ignore this, he said. I nodded. Ignoring had brought us here. We contacted a lawyer that afternoon. She listened quietly as we explained everything, the cameras, the calls, the inspection. She did not interrupt us when we finished. She leaned forward. What happened to you is a serious violation, she said. You have rights. Those words felt heavy, but also grounding. For the first time in weeks, someone named what we were feeling: violation. She explained the steps. Calmly. Reporting. Evidence. Removal. No promises of easy outcomes. Just truth. That night, I slept a little deeper. The professionals returned the next day. Every camera found out, every wire removed. The walls were opened, the ceilings disturbed. It felt painful to watch our home be taken apart, but it also felt necessary. Each camera removed felt like a breath returned to my body. When the last one was placed on the table, small and dark and silent, I stared at it. So much fear had come from something so small. He called again. This time, I answered. I'm sorry, he said quickly. I never thought it would go this far. I listened, but something inside me had changed. You should have thought about us, I said, before you watched. He was quiet. I was lonely, he said. Loneliness explains behavior. It does not excuse it. We were trying to heal. I replied, and you took that from us. I ended the call. That was the first time I did not feel guilty for protecting myself. We sat with the children again. We told them the cameras were gone, that no one could see them anymore. My son asked, "Are we safe now?" I looked at him carefully. Yes, I said, and we will always tell you the truth. Trust begins with honesty. That night, they slept peacefully. I watched them longer than usual, not out of fear, out of love. We repainted the walls, soft colors, gentle tones. We replaced fixtures, moved furniture. We made new memories on purpose, slow. Dinners. Quiet mornings, music playing softly. Again, the house began to feel lighter, not because it forgot, but because we chose to stay present. One evening, I found myself thinking about the former owner, his grief, his loneliness. I did not forgive him fully, not yet, but I understood something. Pain can turn people into strangers. Understanding did not erase the harm, but it softened the weight I carried. Forgiveness, I learned, is not for them, it is for peace. We did not move out, we did not run, we stayed, and in staying, we reclaimed something important: our sense of control, our voice, our home. But the story was not over yet.
Time did what fear could not. It softened the sharp edges. Weeks passed, then months. The house slowly learned us, and we learned it back. I began opening the curtains again in the mornings, letting light come in without fear, standing in the kitchen without looking over my shoulder. Safety returned quietly, not all at once, but piece by piece. One afternoon, my daughter asked me something unexpected. "Mom," she said, "why didn't you leave?" I thought for a moment. "Because fear doesn't get to decide where we belong," I told her. She nodded slowly. Children remember lessons spoken gently. I no longer felt anger toward the former owner. I felt boundaries. There is a difference. Anger keeps you tied to the past. Boundaries let you walk forward. I hoped he found help, not forgiveness from me, but healing for himself. This house is not perfect. The floors still creak, the walls still hold old marks, but now it holds us, not as observers, but as people allowed to be unseen, allowed to rest, allowed to exist quietly. If there is one thing this experience taught me, it is this: a home is not just where you live. It is where your soul feels unobserved, where your children feel free, where silence feels safe. Sometimes life gives us a fresh start wrapped inside a hard lesson. We cannot control what others carry from their past, but we can choose what we allow into our present. Protect your peace. Listen to your instincts. And remember, feeling safe is not a luxury. It is a right.